Toastmasters, good morning. As most of you know, last month I was unable to physically attend our monthly meeting and was in Stevens Point, Wisconsin, visiting my daughter who was presenting at the Wisconsin Energy Fair. Her presentation was on living sustainably in the home. And I thought, well, maybe that might be something that I can share with Toastmasters. So over the last couple of weeks, I've tried to figure out what I might put together to help us understand, number one, why this is important, if it is important, and how do we go about doing our part to make sure that we leave a smaller footprint than when we arrived. Many of you have heard me talk about my daughter Kelly, generally in glowing terms. So you can put a face to the name. There's my little sweetheart right there. Very cute, very pretty, very sweet. What you don't see is that she's very committed, stubborn, and tenacious. All qualities I think that will be important in this particular career. But what I want to do is, I think if we look at what we call the 5 R's of sustainability. Now, the first one is refuse. Now, refuse pretty much means exactly what it says. You have the ability to choose to or not to purchase or consume something. But not only that, you have the option to choose whether or not to purchase something in a specific type of packaging. You may choose to refuse to do something that you believe will leave a negative environmental footprint. It's really kind of the environmentalists' word for choice. Make a choice. You have a choice. And their choice very often is to refuse. Not too many environmentalists have a lot of new stuff. Okay? And that's by choice. The second one is reduce. Now, reduce what? Well, we can reduce consumption of electricity, natural gas. Those are easy and obvious. Turn the lights out, turn the thermostat down. What are other ways to reduce? Well, you can reduce some of the consumption that you have if you change a handful of ways that you shop. For example, you might choose to buy more things in bulk. That will result in less packaging that needs to be either thrown in a landfill or into a recycle facility. You may reduce consumption of other types of things. You may reduce the amount of herbicides, pesticides that you put on your lawn because the long-term exposure to those may not be good for other things. So that's important. Number 3, reuse. Okay, reuse. What does that mean? Well, reuse basically means that, is there a way for me to take something that I have, that I no longer need it for that particular purpose, can I reuse it for something else? Glass jars are great examples. We try and do, when we shop, and I do most of the grocery shopping simply because I have the flexibility time-wise to do it, but I make sure that I look for things that when I purchase them, that there is a potential to reuse either the container, or if I'm buying material or something, if I'm buying something for a wood project, there's zero waste. I find things to use that wood for at some point. Number 4, repair. I have a wonderful example of repair. 5 years ago, I would not have given a second thought to this, but our patio furniture was outside during a rainstorm. The umbrella was up and it blew out of the table, and one of the ribs snapped. So now I have a canopy that comes like this, and then one piece drops. 5 years ago, I would have picked that up, taken it to the curb or to a landfill, gone to Menards or Home Depot, and purchased a new one. It just didn't make sense to me. So I looked at it, went, walked downstairs to my workshop, picked up a 36-inch piece of oak that just happened to be cut about right, a couple of bolts, boom, boom, boom. Now it's repaired. I did not have to buy a new canopy. I did not have to throw away the packaging from that new canopy. I did not have to throw away a perfectly good umbrella. And I managed to use a piece of wood from my workshop. And nobody knows unless I tell them, because they look up and see that it's not stained the same color. Excellent example. I did not do that intentionally, but I'm glad I did. Last one. This is the one most people only think of, is recycle. Now, recycle is very, very important. And I think if you're not sure what you can and can't recycle, simply go to your local county website, and there'll be a list there, a very detailed list of what you can and can't recycle. But along those same lines, just because you can recycle something doesn't mean that you need to buy something that is recyclable. Blister packs, they're one of the worst offenders. Yes, they are recyclable, but if people don't buy things in blister packs, then it costs money and energy to recycle things too. So you look at ways to reduce the things you have to recycle. But you recycle what you can when you can. Now the last thing I want to talk about, and it's not one of the R's, it's a C, composting. Composting to us was something that we did. I grew up on a farm. My parents grew up on farms, and they compost. Their version of composting was throwing the slop out back of the kitchen. And if at some point the animals didn't eat it and it broke down, then fine, it got thrown in the garden. Recently and over the past number of years, people have thought, hey, what a great idea, let's compost. I built a compost bin. It's in my backyard. You'll see a picture of it. You'll also see a picture of the compost that's in there now that represents about 1/3 of the height of the entire compost bin, and that represents 2 years of compostable material from a family of 2.5. We have one of our kids is here roughly 6 months a year. So it's amazing how much this stuff breaks down. It's amazing what terrific topsoil it produces. It's full of nutrients, full of minerals, and it's not going into a landfill. It helps the environment. It's a great way to do things. If you don't have a compost bin, if you want to set one up, I'm happy to show you how to do it. It's very easy. You can buy them. You don't have to buy them. You don't have to spend $150 or $250 to buy one. You can either make one, or you can just simply get some chicken wire. It's not that hard. Anyway, so my trip to Stevens Point was not a total loss. I got to see my daughter. We did talk about recycling. And at the end of the day, it did make me want to come back and share some of these things with you. Hope you found a couple of useful things. Thanks for listening. Hopefully this works, and have a great day.